fuck am I watching right now? Hello and welcome back to True Crime Guys Podcast. I'm Warren.
And I'm Michael.
How's everybody doing? Ready to podcast?
Great, coming in with the unsolved case.
Yeah, dude, we never do unsolved cases.
Well, not on this show.
Yeah, we have
on Strange and Unexplained. We do a ton of them.
Yeah, we have another show for that. But you know, every now and then we break one out, and honestly, I think they've been some of our better shows as we do unsolved stuff. It just brings up some interesting topics and conversations.
Right. It is fun to speculate with you at the end.
Yeah, and this is a bigger
This case is almost solved. It's almost solved.
2021. They started. You know, hopefully by the end of this year, 2022, we get a resolution to this because the police are starting to say
absolutely.
That they have some new leads and they're tracking some stuff down.
And you know, with a case of this stature, they're going to wait until they really have something of importance before they come out. I mean, and this case is so old too. You're talking 30 plus years old. So they're not in a huge rush, you know, to catch this person. They're just trying to bring closure to the family at this point. So they want to be sure. But this is a crazy ride.
It's a big
doubt.
case. It was heavily requested for us over the years, and you know, like sometimes we tend to like shy away from cases that have been done so many times by other shows and stuff. But then you also have to remember that not everybody that listens to us is deep in the woods of true crime. This might be the only true crime thing they listen to is our show. So I guarantee you, like, there's a good portion of our listeners that have never even heard of this and are going to be blown away. And when you see this photo, this specifically one photo, there's a lot of photos that come up in this case. Most of them I think are bogus, but the one photo that this whole case is based around, this Polaroid, it's eerie. It's one of the creepiest things.
Absolutely.
You may have seen it around the internet and maybe not even looked heavily into it, but like this photo has become infamous because of the situation around it. And
a lot of people know this case because of this photo. They call it the Polaroid case or something like that. But yeah, it's a detrimental case.
Yeah,
no doubt.
Well, let's get into it.
All right, man. Let's do it. I'm sorry, Miss Calico. I swear we searched every inch of New Mexico, picking up the pieces as we go, in the shape of a Walkman and a Polaroid photo. There's no secrets in a small town. Try as you may, you'll never keep them rumors down. Unspeakable tragedy of life. Mother always blames herself, no matter she wrong or right. Long days and sleepless nights. It's a type of pain that lives right behind your eyes. And I'm sorry, Miss Calico. I swear we searched every inch of New Mexico, picking up the pieces as we go, in the shape of a Walkman and a Polaroid photo. I'm sorry, Miss Calico. I swear we searched every inch of New Mexico.
All right, so our case this week is the disappearance of Leigh Calico. Get your Googling fingers ready. You're going to want to look at the photo here. There's no way you could listen to this and not look at the photo that we're going to talk about. We'll get into that in a little bit. But I do this anyway. Every time I listen to any kind of true crime stuff, I have to immediately Google everyone. I have to see what the killer looked like, the victim looked like.
You are not alone there. I know.
It's weird. It's like it brings some insight into something, but it really doesn't.
It does.
They usually look like a person. I mean, sometimes creepier than you think or right on cue.
But this case in particular, you need to see these pictures.
Yes.
You need to see them.
Yeah.
I mean, most cases you can go without. You can kind of guess what this creep looked like by our description and whatnot. But this case in particular, you really need to see these pictures.
Yeah.
You really do. They add so much to this case, and it's the whole point of the discussion. If these pictures are true or not true, it changes everything. So that's why.
And this
Definitely
picture,
got to check these out.
this picture is so cryptic. It's like it's got all these clues in it. It feels like one of those pictures that's intentionally like a find these things in it, you know, like you find something new every time you look at it. Like, oh, there's a cup over there. Oh, there's a squirt gun or whatever. Like there's all these weird objects in there, and it almost feels like the whole thing was this planned.
I agree.
Shot.
I can't see why someone would take this picture in the first place. I don't understand
unless
their motive other than to.
Yeah, unless they wanted to be this big thing. They wanted the notoriety of this case to be famous or whatever.
They wanted to entice people. You know what I'm saying? They had to have. Yeah. Because it's just no reason to take this photo.
Right.
On the road, apparently, because it's in a van. It's so
It
obvious.
seems to be in a van. It could be in a van, could be in a trailer, could be in an apartment, but it
But
definitely has a van.
If you look at the sides of the photo, though.
It has a van.
The sides.
Yeah, we'll get to the photo. We haven't gotten there yet.
Okay,
we're going to talk at length about this.
Way ahead of ourselves.
Yeah. Yeah. So one of the people in question in this case, possibly in this photo that we keep alluding to, is a woman named Tara Calico, a girl, girl/woman. She was right on that fringe. And she was born on February 28th, 1969. Shares a birthday with John Turturro and Gilbert Gottfried. Rest in peace, Gilbert Gottfried, one of the greats.
Wow, Gilbert Gottfried.
Yeah.
Right. What an iconic voice.
Oh, yeah. I can't.
Who is John Turturro?
John Turturro has been in a bunch of films. If you saw his face, Google it, you'll know exactly. He was Big Lebowski. He was in that. He's Jesus in that.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's been in everything.
Oh, yeah.
And you love him in every film he's in. He's phenomenal.
Oh, brother, where art thou?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, man.
Yes. That's probably his most infamous role.
Nice.
But even great in some of the like Sandler movies. I want to say like what was the one?
Oh my God.
Mr. Deeds. He was in Mr. Deeds.
Mr.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's the butler, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Classic comedy.
Yeah. So Tara Calico, born in 1969. Her mother Patty had gotten divorced from her real father, David Calico, and she had married a man named John Dole, and so her mother's last name became Dole, and young Tara kept the last name Calico.
Right.
Her mother Patty was a railroad train master, responsible for making sure that trains arrive and depart safely and on time. Fascinating job.
Yeah, really. It's like air traffic control, but for trains.
Right. A lot less can go wrong, I imagine, than with planes.
Right.
Everything
kind of
always
hard to
stays
get
on
off
track.
course when there's a track. This reminds me
of a case. Expression came from? Everything staying on track here?
I guess.
Did it come from the railroad business?
It makes sense.
Yeah, it's got to be.
It makes sense. It's funny. Me and Andy covered a case in Strange Shorts recently where a guy hijacked a train, and I'm like, "What? Where are you gonna go?"
They know where it's
not
headed.
like you can't diverge.
There's only so many turns they can make.
Right? What are you gonna go park the train in your garage? You can't. Yeah. You can't do that. I don't. Right. I just thought it was so funny.
Yeah,
that's hilarious.
How did that pan out? I'm curious. Did he get caught? Obviously.
Oh yeah, he definitely got caught.
They just waited at the other end.
Yeah. What's funny is he got on the train while it was parked, right? And then he goes immediately up to the driver section, the conductor station or whatever, and he holds a gun to the guy's head and he's like, "Get this thing going now." And I'm like, "Bro, you don't know how trains work? Like, even if he wanted to, it's not like he could do a burnout. Like, right. What are you talking about?"
You know, it'd be badass. What would be badass is if he spent a lot of time, had a whole crew, and they made this is like some Breaking Bad shit. They made a diversion. They made a set of tracks that went off.
Oh my God,
into a desolate area, and then they covered it with trees and shit to where every time the train goes down the tracks in that section, it's not seen, that extra track.
Oh damn!
And then they steal the train and they take it off, and then all of a sudden it's like a ghost train. It's gone. Where'd it go?
That's a lot of work, but to steal a whole train,
great payoff.
That cargo, seriously.
Yeah.
Seriously.
That'd be a next level heist, dude. Maybe Sandy Stories. Next Sandy Stories.
Yeah, that would be fun.
Yeah.
Oh, that'd be some fun sound effects.
Right.
That'd be some fun sound effects.
All right.
We got to get back on topic.
Seriously here. Come on now. So yeah, Patty's mother, Tara's mother was a train master, which of course we had to talk about that because it's just a very interesting job that I didn't even know was a thing.
I've never even heard that term, train master.
Yeah. So on Tuesday, September 20th, 1988, Tara left her home at about 9:30 a.m. to go on her daily bike ride along New Mexico State Route 47. So she was a daily long distance bike rider. She would ride 30 plus miles every day. She was a very active person, very in shape. She was on this day planning to go on this bike ride, which I believe was going to be 34 miles. and then she was
Right.
promptly going to be done with that. She needed to be done with that by noon because she was going to go play tennis with her boyfriend at 12:30.
Right.
So,
But she rode this, like you said, on the daily, 17 miles out, 17 miles back. So she knew how long it was going to take her.
Yeah.
You know?
She, like you said, she rode this route almost every morning and was sometimes accompanied by her mother, Patty. However, Patty had stopped riding with Tara after she'd felt that she'd been stalked by a motorist. So she'd had an encounter with someone in a vehicle that had scared her. She felt like someone was following her or something like that, and wasn't up to it on this occasion. And also, Tara's bike apparently had like a flat tire and some issues. So she ended up taking her mother's bike anyway. So I don't think they had two operational bikes at the moment either. So,
okay.
Apparently,
and obviously, Tara was not deterred from her mother's warnings. She maybe just thought her mother was being paranoid, which that's a mother's job, you know? How many times your mother say something was going to happen and it didn't?
And it's a child's job to push back and you know, still do things, even though, because you would just be in a bubble for your whole life if you always didn't do what your parents told you to do.
I know. So, you can't blame either one of these people. You can't blame.
Yeah.
No.
So Patty did, however, advise her daughter, Tara, to think about carrying mace with her, but Tara rejected the idea. I'd just weigh her down, I'm sure. You know, she's going 34 miles. You don't need all this crap strapped to you.
What, a little thing of mace is going to be too much?
I'm just trying to put myself in her shoes.
So, she probably just didn't think it was necessary, man. I mean, you know, sunny New Mexico out there, and she's done this route every day.
That's part of the problem, though. When you do something habitually every day, I'm coming back to the Dahmer series. The first encounter he had with that jogger where he ran out with a bat from the bushes. He knew that dude was going to be running in that secluded section of road in the woods at a certain time. That's why he was able to wait for him and strike.
Very true.
It's very dangerous to be so habitual with your hikes or your bike rides or whatever to do the same route every day. Eventually someone's going to catch on. If there is a creep in the area, they're going to learn where you're at and where the spot to attack you is. It's always good to mix things up.
Absolutely.
So on the morning of Tara's disappearance, she had told her mother to come and get her as if she was not home by noon. As we mentioned, she had plans to play tennis with her boyfriend at 12:30. So she says, if I'm not back by noon, come looking for me. Yeah, she's into cardio.
Yes, she is. She's going to ride 34 miles, come home, and then immediately go play tennis.
Yeah.
Sheesh.
Yeah.
Depending on how good you are, that can really be a workout. Sometimes you go to play tennis with people and you're just chasing the ball around the court. It's not fun. I'm like, I'm not playing tennis with you anymore.
I don't know if I've ever legitimately actually played tennis in my life.
I just like, occasionally we'll go play in the summer, but we're just trying to get volleys. We're just trying to get that, you know what I'm saying, that back and forth. It's almost like running suicides the whole time.
Yeah.
It's pretty fun.
Bad for your knees, though. Bad for your knees.
Bad for your knees and your elbows, honestly.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So
in moderation.
So Tara goes on this bike ride, and as you can imagine, she didn't return by noon. And she had told her mother, if I'm not back by noon, come and find me. Obviously, her mother knew the route because she had ridden this route with her many times. So Patty went searching along Tara's usual bike route, but couldn't find her. And she ended up contacting the police, at which point a police search was done of her route as well. And eerily, pieces of Tara's Sony Walkman and cassette tape were later discovered along the road. Now, we mentioned she made this bike ride in, 1988? So this is what you had for entertainment back in the day, a cassette player.
Hell yeah.
And so
it didn't skip, at least.
Very true. Dude, honestly, the disc Walkmans were kind of shitty. I'd much rather have a tape one.
Kind of.
You're so
Bro,
right,
you couldn't
dude.
even...
You go over a speed bump and you're fucking skipping.
That's what I was going to say. I used to take my CD Walkman on school field trips, man. I had to like hold it when we go over bumps on the road. I'm sitting here like holding it like this so my music doesn't skip.
You had to make your own suspension out of your hands. Yeah.
Because if you just laid it on your lap every time the bus hits a bump, it's like...
Yeah. And then the disc gets scratched up. And then you got to do all the old tricks using toothpaste to fill the cracks and shit.
Yeah. I had one of those disc cleaning kits. I had one of those disc cleaning kits. Remember those? You open it up and you spray the stuff on there, and then it's got the little foam thing, and you put it back in there, and you're like,
yeah, 100%. They even had discs that would clean your disc player. Remember, they had a disc you would put in that had a little fucking brush on it, and it would clean the lens on the disc player. My God,
that was kind of cool. That was kind of cool idea.
Sure,
but never helped really.
No,
I don't think any of those things helped.
No.
Thank God for digital content.
Yeah. So along this route, eerily, pieces of Tara's Sony Walkman were discovered along the road, and Patty believed that she might have dropped them in an attempt to mark her trail, which seems a little far-fetched. More likely she was struck by a vehicle
in a struggle,
or whoever abducted her threw it down and broke it.
Yeah.
Because it's fairly difficult to break, those cassette players. It's not just like you can drop it from waist height and it's going to smash into pieces. Like it's got to kind of be
No.
thrown down.
Yeah. And the tape
Or
and
ran
everything
over.
looked pretty destroyed. It looked like it was either run over or, purposefully smashed.
Mm-hmm.
Or she could have fell on it. If she had it clipped on her side
Yeah.
and was hit by a car, she could have fell on it. Now that would do it. That would
Mhm.
smash it in the way that it was smashed in pictures for sure,
Yeah.
which is most likely what happened, I would imagine.
Yeah,
They just
and
left it.
also kind of in a weird twist of fate that the pieces were found about 20 miles past her starting point, which we knew she was heading 17 miles out and then 17 miles back for a 34-mile route. I doubt she would have added any miles to her trip when she had to be back at she didn't have much time.
They threw it out.
So she either added some mileage just to get a better workout or something happened and she was running from someone and went 3 miles
adding
past.
mileage on a day where you have another engagement after, I
Mhm.
don't see her doing that. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? Like she's trying to make sure she's back by noon. Why would she go an extra 3 miles? I think they just picked up everything and then they were like, well, fuck this Walkman. We'll throw this thing out.
Very
Maybe. I don't know.
possible.
But the bike has never been found. I do know that, right?
Right.
Her bike was never found.
Yeah. Yeah. You know what? It does kind of make me wonder if whoever abducted her did just have the Walkman. She had it on her or whatever, and they threw her into the van or whatever it was with the Walkman, and then they broke it and threw it out the window down the road.
Yeah.
Or
Yeah, but what-
she was being followed and chased and went past where she was supposed to turn around, and that's where the encounter happened, that the Walkman got broken.
Yeah. Well,
either way, these
if
broken
they-
pieces had something to do with her abduction. There's no doubt about it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Now, if they did throw them out, that would be a good tactic to occupy police in the area. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, like, let's say you take her bike, you take her Walkman, there's no trace. They might go ahead and start moving up the road. They might start looking in other areas. But if you throw out that Walkman close to where you took her, now that concentrates efforts there for at least, a few days at least. And by that time, who knows where they took her?
Yeah.
I mean, this Polaroid that we're talking about in question was found in Florida, which we'll find out. You know what I'm saying? So,
yeah,
crazy.
So several people had seen Tara riding her bicycle on this day, which has never been found, as you mentioned, and no one witnessed her presumed abduction, although several witnesses observed a light-colored pickup truck, possibly a 1953 Ford, with a camper shell following closely behind her. And there's actually been drawings made of what this truck looked like that you can find online. And makes you wonder if it's the same vehicle that had followed her mother and freaked her out, if it had something to do with the same thing. It's once again, they knew that she would take this ride on the same spot every day. So it's very possible that the same person that freaked her mom out was the one that ultimately abducted her.
It just kind of blows my mind that a 36-year-old truck on the road couldn't be found. It's like there couldn't have been this many of them. There couldn't have been that many 53 Fords riding around. Like, what a iconic specific vehicle to get away with. He wasn't driving an 88 Buick. You know what I'm saying? He's driving a 53 Ford.
Yeah, but if he was passing through, if he wasn't a local, you know how it was back in the 80s. That's why so many of our serial killers were successful. Yeah, so could have just gone to another state. And we mentioned the Polaroid that we're about to get into was found several states away. So
understatement.
Yeah. So we're going to fast forward a while. I mean, Tara goes missing. There's not much other than the broken cassette tape. Her bicycle's missing. Right. She's not seen. And, there's not many leads. Obviously, she was snatched up when no one saw her in a time where there was very little, if to no surveillance. And honestly, it was hard for jurisdictions. They weren't very good at communicating with each other yet. And so if someone was snatched up and taken to another state, oftentimes they weren't found until they either emerged or their body was found somewhere and connected with dental records. So on June 15th, 1989, so that abduction happened in September of 88. And so we fast forward almost a year. Yeah, to June 15th, 1989, a Polaroid photo of an unidentified young woman and boy gagged and seemingly bound. So they had black tape over their mouth.
Mm-hmm.
And it was televised to the public after it was found in a convenience store parking lot in Port St. Joe, Florida. It's like we said, many states away from.
New Mexico to Florida. That's a bit of a drive. That's over 2,000 miles for sure.
Yeah. And Port St. Joe is a tiny town whose population in 2020 was about 3,300. And it's actually continued to decline since 1989. It was actually 4,000 back in 1989. So not a lot of, there must not be much going on there to keep their residents around. They just keep losing people every year.
Yeah, I guess so. But there's so many other places to live in Florida too. I mean, Florida has so many booming, metropolitan areas.
Yeah.
They got to have some small towns around there somewhere.
Yeah. And this was a junior food store, and a woman observed, she pulled into a parking space, and when she pulled in, the space next to her was occupied by a white Toyota cargo van, windowless apparently, and she could see a man with a mustache who appeared to be in his 30s sitting in the driver's seat of this van.
Oh yeah, he's a serial killer. Oh yeah.
She obviously took note because, at this point, 1989, we've heard about a lot of the serial killers with vans. She was probably on edge, like, oh, there's a creep van parked next to me.
Yep.
And when she comes back out from the convenience store, she noticed that the van was gone, but there was a Polaroid photo face down sitting in the space where the van was parked. And this Polaroid has become infamous. We keep talking about it. It's a picture of what appears to me to be a teenage girl, but she could be anywhere from 15 to 19 years old, really. And then a young boy next to her. They're lying on some sort of bedding, could be in a van. It seems like a small confined space.
I'd say he's under 10 if I had to guess. Yeah. I'd say he's 8, 9 years old.
Yeah, I agree.
I mean, and maybe 10.
Their faces are really haunting and telling, because she looks defeated. I would say he looks terrified to me, the boy, and she looks like she's lost hope, like she's given up.
Yep.
And like just really disgusted with what's going on. And there's so many little clues in this photograph. There's a book which people have tracked down. It's the book is laying right next to her, almost seemingly posed. Like you can see the cover of it perfectly. Obviously, this is a grainy Polaroid photo from the 80s, so the pixels are not there. But these two children are lying in some sort of bed. They have black tape over their mouths. Their hands are seemingly tied behind their backs, and possibly their feet are out of frame. You can't see their feet, but it seems as though their feet are also maybe bound together as well because of the way that their legs are positioned.
Right, and that's also what leads me to believe that the book is posed.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, her hands are tied. How is she reading a book, even if she wanted to pass the time?
Well, it could have been a situation where they were bound when the captor was going into locations. When they park, maybe this would be like a thing they would do where it's like, okay, I have to bind you up again because I'm going inside someplace for a little while and I don't want you to escape. And possibly when they were back on the road, you would untie them and allow them to read or whatever, just to keep them occupied. I don't know.
Possibly.
They're both, but, I mean, they're both of Caucasian descent. They both had light brown hair and looked like, to me, like almost looked like they could be siblings. Like, not out of the realm of possibility at all.
It's not completely, but I doubt that though, just because of the attention that it would bring, abducting two siblings, and then also the difficulty I think that it would be abducting two siblings. I mean, how often have we heard of this?
Yeah. Aside from like a father taking his kids when he's not allowed to have them, like, kidnapping his own children or something like that. Yeah. Pretty rare.
Right. And the father was ruled out, right? I mean,
well, we don't even know who these kids are for certain. So,
well, I mean, Tara's father was ruled out of this situation.
Yeah, I believe so.
I hope.
Yeah, I think
no one talks about him.
I don't even know if he was still alive when this happened. I know he'd passed away a while ago. Her real father.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the woman that found this Polaroid obviously calls police and tells them about the Polaroid, tells them about the van that was parked there. And police set up roadblocks along Highway 98 and 71. This is a tiny town. Usually there's highways running through these little towns and they're just kind of stop-offs. And in this scenario, there was these two highways, major highway 98 and 71, that were running out of there. So there's not only so many places, kind of like the train we talked about earlier, there's only so many places this person could go. But apparently this van had hightailed it out of there before they could set up their roadblocks because they were unable to locate the van. and it seemed to have evaded the area before law enforcement could catch up with it. Yeah, so that photo was found in June of 1989, and then Current Affair, a popular television show at the time, ran a piece on the photo being found in the van. And a woman named Patty Dole, who we mentioned earlier, the mother of Tara, was told by her friends to watch the show because they thought that there was a chance this photo contained a picture of her daughter. And when she saw the show and saw the photo, she was convinced right away. Mother's intuition, like, you know, more than anyone what your daughter looks like in any angle, any situation. You've stared at their face so many times. You know, the look on their face that they have when, you know, in different situations. And she was 100% convinced that this was her daughter. And it doesn't seem as though it was just some sort of hope that it was, you know, like we see that often with parents when their child goes missing, they start seeing them all over the place. But like, I guess she had denied many other times where people said, "Oh, I saw your daughter here," or showed her a picture. Is this your daughter? This was the only time where she was 100%, because more photos come out later that are sent to law enforcement, seemingly taunting police regarding this situation. And every time she was like, "No, that's not my daughter." But this photo in particular, this Polaroid found in this parking space, she was 100% convinced it was her daughter. Then simultaneously, relatives of a boy named Michael Henley, also of New Mexico, who had disappeared in April of 1988, they saw the episode and said that they believed that the boy in the photo was their son. So this Michael Henley had disappeared a few months before Tara had gone missing. In April of 1988, he had gone missing, and we'll talk a little bit about his disappearance in April. On April 21st, 1988, 9-year-old Michael Henley Jr. went on a camping trip with his father and a family friend in the Zuni Mountains of New Mexico, which was actually only about 35 miles from where Tara went missing. And the three of them had been at the campsite for less than 20 minutes when Michael disappeared. When they noticed that he was missing, they searched around the camp and found no trace of him. And unfortunately, a storm rolled in, a snowstorm in April, just happened to roll in. And of course, that was going to make things a lot more difficult for a boy who was not equipped to handle that cold weather, and for the family to find him, who probably also didn't have the right proper gear to go out on an extensive search and find him. And time was of the essence. They figured that he had wandered off into the wilderness, and his family, as well as the police and National Guard, conducted a month-long search, but were unable to find him. But now this photo emerges, like, you know, a year and a half later, and they're convinced that this boy, and if you see the photos of him and you see the photo of the boy with the tape on his mouth, they look very similar. You can see why the parents would think that. And it's very odd that both of these, both Tara and this young boy, went missing from a very close area in New Mexico, within 35 miles of each other. And then this photo containing two that look just like each other in Florida emerges. Like, what are the odds of that?
Also, wasn't that book one of Tara's favorite books?
Yes. Yep. So that, there was a couple reasons
I can't remember,
why.
I don't think we mentioned that.
Well, there was a couple reasons that really solidified Patty's belief that this picture was of her daughter. And that was that there was a scar on this girl's leg, the girl in the photo, and it was identical to one that Tara had received in a car accident, which in the photo, I can't see a scar, but a mother would obviously know exactly where the scar is and where to look for it. The photo to me, man, it's too grainy to really make out details like that.
I know.
But
if you know what you're looking for,
you
might could find something if you knew what you were looking for. Like maybe like right there around the right knee. See right there around the right kneecap? That looks like maybe a little indention or a scar or something that could have happened from a bicyclist. You know what I mean? That seems like a typical scar a bicyclist would have.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
But the book as well. You mentioned the book being her favorite. This was a paperback copy of V.C. Andrews' My Sweet Audrina, and said to be one of Tara's favorite books, and can be seen lying next to her in the photograph. So that being said, I've heard that this author and these books, V.C. Andrews, was very popular with adolescent girls in the 80s and 90s. It was a very, like, it would be kind of like a kid from the early
Twilight
2000s.
or something now.
Yeah, exactly. It'd be like a kid from the early 2000s having a Harry Potter book next to him, or like in the, 2010 through 2020, that being a Twilight book or something like that.
Yeah. Okay.
So
maybe the kidnapper used the book to try to calm her. He's just like, oh, I know teenage girls are into this, so here you go. And he could have just threw the book.
Or took requests. What do you guys want? to keep you occupied, something along those lines. Who knows?
Yeah, trying to gain a little trust.
Yeah. So police have this photo. They now have potential leads as to who these kids could be. They have parents stepping forward saying, I think that's my child who went missing. And so they send this photo along with photos of, Tara and, sorry, what was the boy's name? Michael Henley. They send these photos off to Scotland Yard across the pond, and they have these photos analyzed next to the photos of the potential missing children. And they concluded that Scotland Yard concluded that the girl in the photo in this Polaroid, in their opinion, was Tara Calico. They agreed with Tara's mother that this was her, judging from facial structure and all of these different factors.
Right.
But this is where it gets tricky though, because the second analysis by Los Alamos National Laboratory disagreed. So now you have two experts disagreeing.
Okay. I wanted to talk about this. I'm glad we're at this point.
Yeah.
But the disagreement they had with the two photos was that they took a posed photo of Tara, like a school photo or maybe something her parents paid for, right? And she's sitting there smiling, and she has eyebrows raised, which most people do, right? When you're doing your best face, you raise your eyebrows, you smile big, whatever. But in the van, she's obviously not smiling.
She's
she has
distressed,
nothing to smile about.
scowling.
She's distressed. And their biggest comparison for saying that it wasn't Tara was that they were like, oh, look at her in this photo that we know is her. Her eyebrows are round, and then in the other one, her eyebrows are straight. And I'm like, well, one, she's smiling and raising her eyebrows, which makes your eyebrows arc. Yeah. And then if you're sitting there distraught or not putting any tension in your forehead, your eyebrows get flat. I mean, am I missing something here? Like the average person. So
100%. We can all make our eyebrows be different shapes depending on our mood.
I can round them or I can straighten them. Like
just like when you draw a face. Let's say, okay, make me an angry face. How are you going to do that? You're going to change the fucking eyebrows, the angle.
You're going to change the eyebrows.
Yeah.
Yes. The eyebrows are like the least thing you could go.
Make me a surprise face. You're going to raise the eyebrows. Make me an angry face. You're going to make them pointed downward.
Right, exactly. Yeah. I think the only way to compare these photos would be to like literally, if you could figure out the dimensions, right? The distance between the eyes, the distance
just
between
like
the eyes and the
facial
nose.
recognition software that they have in Las Vegas.
Yeah.
In all of the major casinos, they have advanced facial recognition software where if you put a fake mustache on and you go in and you try and rip off the casino again, the shit's gonna recognize you right away. I'm surprised that they haven't been able to do this for these photos and kind of confirm or deny whether it was Tara.
About that money.
You think?
It's about that money.
Oh, dude, there's casinos.
They got a lot more money to protect. So
but
they
how hard
invest
could it
in
be to load these
systems.
into some advanced? I'm not even saying like whatever the casinos have, but there's got it. Like the FBI, you would think would have some advanced facial recognition software that they could just upload these two photos and get more of an idea, like a percentage.
But like the
percentage chance that this is the same person. You think there's software could do that?
I agree, but the FBI has much more current things they're working on, I'm sure.
How hard would it be? It'd take 10 minutes. Upload this shit into your shit.
It's like you could do this before lunch. What are you doing?
Anyways,
make it a
there's got to be a reason why they haven't. But at the time, the FBI did analyze the photo, and they gave a conclusion of inconclusive, saying that they were unsure. So a lot of help that was.
Yeah, seriously.
Michael Henley's mother said that she was almost certain that it was Michael in the Polaroid. However, the identification of the boy in the photograph as Michael Henley became far less likely when his remains would be found in June of 1990 in the Zuni Mountains, only 7 miles from where his family had been camping. And and the autopsy revealed that he had died from exposure, basically hypothermia from the storm. So it's tragic. He basically wandered off, got lost, and then the storm hit, and he just died out there.
So there was no foul play in him. He just got lost.
No.
Oh God,
it's just a nightmare.
That's even more heartbreaking.
I know, it almost is, right? I mean, obviously being abducted and who knows what someone would do to you is horrible, but also the idea that you go camping with your family and your child wanders off and then just dies in the cold alone out there is also horrible.
And they were within 7 miles of you?
Yeah.
That's man.
Yeah. But
that's hard
the
to swallow.
timing of it was just so terrible. The fact that storm rolled in right after he wandered off just made it so much harder for everybody, because I'm sure he got cold and weak really quickly, and he probably couldn't even shout out for them and walk around and search for them.
And you know how deafening snow can be.
7 miles is quite a ways too in the wilderness.
It is. It is. And,
That's
you
out
know,
of
he was
that's
just
out of
walking
shouting
and
reach.
wondering.
You're not gonna hear somebody 7 miles away.
I can't believe he walked 7 miles away on his own as a
Yeah.
10-year-old. Or like that's absurd.
Yeah.
Maybe he was just walking in the wrong direction, didn't realize it until it was too late.
It's very
But
easy
I mean,
to
to
do.
walk 7 miles, dude. I mean, that would take what, 3 hours?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. Still could be something weird about that. Somebody could have took advantage of him and then just left his body out in the woods.
Yeah. And there would be little left after multiple, a few years in the wilderness.
Exactly.
As far as DNA or anything like that goes, or physical evidence. It's possible.
Yeah, and they
it's
were
possible
like,
there was a
yeah.
creep out there lurking that took him away. Who knows?
Absolutely.
We'll never know. But what we can pretty safely say is that he had nothing to do with this Polaroid photo. It was just a coincidence that he went missing around the same time in the same area, and he looked like a boy in this photo. But the odds that the killer took him from New Mexico, took him to Florida, or took photos of him. People have said, why would the killer take him, then take him to Florida, and then bring his body back? If the killer or abductor wouldn't have had to necessarily take him anywhere. He could have took the Polaroid still within that area, dumped him in the wilderness, and then, I mean, hypothetically speaking, and then taken the Polaroid to Florida and put that there.
I see what you're saying. You're saying that the van could have been empty, sitting in that parking lot.
Yeah.
And he just had a van full of Polaroids, and one fell out when he opened the door.
Yeah.
That's absolutely a possibility. Tara could still be in New Mexico, for all we know.
Very true.
Yeah.
And I haven't heard that theory talked about much in my studies. Everyone assumed that they were either still in the van or they had made this trip to Florida. They didn't necessarily have to make the trip anywhere. This could have been a creep working in New Mexico and like going from state to state, possibly killing children, abducting them. But then he could have hypothetically been in the woods that day, taken young Michael, also taken Tara within the same amount of time, hung around that area, took these Polaroids, and dumped the body. Tara, for all we know, Tara's body, if she is gone, could be not far from where Michael was left. It could have been in the same patch of woods in the same mountains.
Absolutely.
Who knows?
Absolutely.
It's a mystery. But in 2006, Tara's mother, Patty, unfortunately passed away, sadly never knowing what had become of her daughter, but still obviously obsessed with finding the truth of what had happened with her daughter, and still convinced that that original Polaroid contained a picture of her daughter.
Yeah.
And there was still some ongoing things that would appear this case would come back up every few years. In 2008, Reen Rivera, the sheriff of Valencia County, reported that he received information that 2 teenagers had accidentally hit Leigh Calico with a truck, panicked, and subsequently killed her. So they got this story. The sheriff got this story about, what had happened that day back in 1988. And there's been a lot of speculation online about things that could have potentially happened that, involved Tara's father, her birth father, potentially being in the drug trade. There was a lot of speculation involving him, that maybe someone was trying to get back at him and using his daughter as a pawn. There's no way of, validating any of that. Is
that would explain why they took the photos, though.
Validating.
Yeah, validating. That would explain why they took the photos, though.
Yeah. Sure.
If you were trying to pressure someone, or blackmail someone, you're like, hey, I got your daughter. Here she is.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? That would explain why they took the photos in the van.
But then who's the boy, and what does that have to do with anything?
I don't know. I have no idea.
Yeah. So according to the sheriff, the boys who knew Calico, who knew Tara, drove up behind her in a truck, and some form of an accident followed, and Tara later died, and those responsible covered up the crime. He stated that he knew the names of those involved, but that without a body, he could not make a case against them. It makes you wonder if that has something to do with what's broken in 2021. We'll get to that in a minute, but if that's the case and they knew who did it and they just needed some physical evidence, maybe they found what they needed, or they think that maybe the body could be on one of their properties. Cause I think supposedly in 2021, they were getting like a search warrant for a property.
Yes.
Maybe they think that these people involved buried her on their property or something like that.
I don't know. It's been over a year ago since that news broke. So
yeah. And this news obviously was back in 2008. So this is a long time ago that this sheriff was saying that this story came to him and that he didn't have the evidence to make a case. He did not release the evidence that led him to this conclusion, though. So there's so much cryptic stuff to this case. Tara's stepfather, John Dole, said that the sheriff should not have made these comments if he was not willing to arrest anyone. That's strong circumstantial evidence should be enough for a conviction. Of course, that's wishful thinking, but it's another thing when you go to trial and you have to convict someone beyond a reasonable doubt with a jury, and you only get one chance. You don't want to fuck that up.
Yep.
Like, let's say you go to trial and he's found not guilty because there's not enough evidence, and then let's say then the body is found and we've talked about double jeopardy. You can't then try him again for that same murder.
Right.
So you get one shot to do it. I
feel like they got as much evidence on him as the West Memphis 3 had.
Sure, but that was a different scenario. That's why we did multiple episodes on that shit.
Yeah, no doubt.
So this doesn't have a satanic panic element to it that you can help the jury convict someone on.
No. Man, could you imagine that, though, if it was just a few teenagers driving an old farm truck and they hit her? And it does kind of line up. It would make sense as to why they got rid of all her shit. Yeah. And her bike, too, because the bike would have been all crumbled up, and that would have been evidence.
If you were just abducting
why would you take the bike?
What's the point in taking the bike? It doesn't. It makes no sense. It's so true.
That bike was all crumbled up, I bet you. So they're like, just throw it in here, too. So, there's probably some paint from the truck. Who knows what else could have gotten on that bike? If the bike went up underneath the truck, could have had oil on it, paint from the truck, and they know if somebody found that, they're fucked.
You imagine?
So they took everything.
You imagine being like, let's say it went down like that, being one of those teens that hit her and got rid of her body and her bike and all that stuff. And all these years you're seeing all this Polaroid coincidentally pops up, which looks like her, and her mom thinks it's her. And then like you're seeing this whole thing play out, and deep down that like,
it's not her.
Yeah. You hit her with a car and buried her somewhere.
It's dark, but I could totally see I could totally see some kids from her school or something be like, "Oh, there's Tara, let's fuck with her." Getting right up on her. And you just got too.
Maybe that's what scared her mom. Maybe the same kids. They just had a habit of doing this, and that's what scared her mom. Ooh. And then the same kids did it to her. You would think her mom would, bring that up. I don't know.
I know, like, obviously, this truck that this witness described did not match the vehicle that her mom was afraid of, right? Or that would have been an obvious red flag. And nobody says that. There's no articles that say that. There's no videos that say that, but you have to, that has to be implied.
Yeah.
I mean, if it did match the vehicle, surely her mother would be making a huge fuss about this.
Yeah.
Or would have. I know she's passed now, but.
Yeah. She had many years to do so.
Yeah.
So in 2009, 20 years after the Polaroid was found and shared by the media, pictures of a boy was sent to the I always struggle with this one. Port St. Joe Police Chief David Barnes. And so we have a few more photos to go over, which I think at a certain point people get involved and they interject themselves into these investigations, these big time true crime cases. And this is no different, where these photos start getting sent and they're just messing with people. It's fucked up.
It's a shame.
Yeah. So this police chief received 2 letters postmarked June 10th and August 10th, 2009 from Albuquerque, New Mexico. One letter contained a photo printed on a copy paper of a young boy with sandy brown hair. Someone had drawn a black band in ink in the photo over the boy's mouth as if it were covered by tape, as in the 1989 picture. The second letter contained an original image of the boy. And on August 12th, the Star newspaper in Port St. Joe received a third letter, also postmarked in Albuquerque on August 10th, and depicting the same image of a boy with a black marker drawn over his mouth. That photo can be found online. I mean, it's clearly just someone fucking taunting police and stuff. I don't know why you would do this, but there's some sick people out there. But it's not even tape. It's literally marker drawn over a normal photo.
Yeah.
Which is just odd.
It really is.
And this boy has not been confirmed to be the same as the one in the previous photo, the original Polaroid. None of the letters contain a return address or a note indicating the child's identity, making the officials there believe it may have something to do with the original disappearance of Leigh Calico. But
I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't think there's any connection there. I think they're just messing with people.
Mm-hmm.
Unless this is like a human trafficking type deal. But if it is, why would you even want to draw attention to yourself at all?
Yeah.
Why would you even bother with this?
Right. It reminds me of like the Johnny Gosch case. You had people,
Absolutely.
you had all these people get involved that you shouldn't have. And of course, in this case, we have a psychic that comes up. These letters that were sent with this photo of the boy with the black marker drawn over his mouth. It came about the same time that a self-proclaimed psychic had called about Tara Calico, saying that she had met a runaway in California with whom she had worked in a strip club, and this girl was eventually murdered. The caller said that she had dreams suggesting that the runaway may have been Tara and that she may have been buried in California. However, searches did not lead to any discoveries. And I mean, you're going off some psychic's
I
dream.
can't believe. I was about to say, I can't believe they even took this and ran with it. They must have had something else, right? You got to have something else.
Yeah. I hope she was more specific than she's buried in California. California is a large state. Good luck. just grab a shovel and go start digging anywhere. I mean, Jesus.
She's buried on the West Coast, so good luck.
Mm-hmm.
Jesus. I just don't understand the FBI taking this word of some psychic who just called in. I mean, were they that desperate, or did they had something else? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because that was my first instinct. I'm like, if she's taken from New Mexico and taken somewhere, they went to California. That's what I would think.
Possible.
I mean,
but then this Polaroid emerges in Florida, though. Jesus.
I know.
Yeah.
But the Polaroid may have nothing to do with the case.
Very true. That's why everything's so convoluted in this case. Yeah, I mean, the Michael, the young Michael, and him being tied to photo, and then ultimately his body being found 7 miles from where he was lost and succumbed to the elements. That just kind of like makes it that much harder for me to believe that Tara is the girl in the photo. That being said, her mother's adamant about it. The scar, her favorite book, all of that, those things make it more compelling to me. So
it's a tough one.
Over the years, 2 more Polaroid photographs, possibly of Tara, have surfaced. The first was found near a construction site in Montecito, California. There's another California tie. And it's a blurry photo of a girl's face with tape covering her mouth and a light blue striped fabric behind her, similar to that of the pillow in the van photo. So we're looking at this photo now, and it's such a bad photo. Like, it's in such bad condition that you can barely even make out that it's a face. It's because the white tape and then the photo, because I'm guessing the Polaroid camera, they were taking these photos in the dark and it was using the flash of the Polaroid camera, and it just makes everything blurry. And
and those striped pillows, those were pretty popular back in the day. I remember, like, if you know, like, I'm not talking about a pillow with a pillowcase. Like, you would just go to Walmart and buy those pillows that were like white with the blue stripes on them. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
I used to have those as a kid. Like, they were super popular. Especially in the late 80s, 90s. Yeah.
This photo,
it's just basically
to me,
a pillowcase.
Is definitely creepy, though. This photo, to me, I think is definitely was involved in some sort of crime.
Absolutely.
More so than the other ones. This photo is definitely got some dark vibes to it. If you're watching
blurry,
this
but
on
you
YouTube,
can see the fear in her
I recommend
eyes.
this to be an episode you watch on YouTube rather than listening to the audio version, because you can follow along and we'll have these photos up as we're talking about it. But yeah, this photo, unlike the other ones that came out later, to me makes me wonder. Maybe not Tara, but this photo was involved in some sort of abduction. Like, this woman does not seem like she was a willing participant in this photo.
Absolutely not.
So, and Polaroid would come out and say, give timelines on when these photos could have been taken. They said that this one was taken on film that was not available until June of 1989, giving some sort of a timeline to it. And then there was another photo that would come out which showed a woman loosely bound in gauze, her eyes covered with more gauze, and a large black frame. She was wearing large black framed glasses, and she was with a male passenger beside her on an Amtrak train. This photo to me is just people goofing around, and she looks like she's playing along to me, and there's like literally like toilet paper that's binding her together, and she's playing along with it. I don't buy it at all. The guy looks like he's goofing off. And someone else took the photo too.
What if this girl in this photo has special needs? You know what I mean? What if she maybe has autism or something, or some type of disorder where they needed to do this just so she doesn't hurt herself on this train? Because like you say, it's like she's tied up with gauze. It's like anybody could just rip this apart. It doesn't look like tape. And then look, the tie around her legs is already fallen off. It's like it's not even doing anything.
Right.
The fact that it's around her mouth, almost like a gag, is very suspicious. But the fact that they're on like a public train, they're obviously on a train, right? Or something.
Yes. It's an odd photo,
this
no doubt, but I
this
don't
photo
think it
is
has
so
anything to
confusing.
do with Tara's disappearance.
I don't think it has anything to do with this case at all.
No.
This photo is just weird.
Yeah. So Tara's mother believed that the first one was Tara, obviously the one that was found in the parking lot, but the second, not so much, and the third one on the Amtrak train, absolutely not. Yeah, and as far as Tara's sister, she said that they had a striking, uncalming resemblance. As for me, I will not rule them out, but I keep in mind that our family has had to identify many photographs, and all those, but these 3 were ruled out. So yeah, it's important to note that many photographs were received. It's because this case was so big. It's just unfortunate. It was just all too easy to send a non-return address letter with some photograph of a woman with dark hair to police, and then they gotta try and find the origin of that and see if it's involved. They have to follow every lead. So absolutely, just so fucked up. I wish that these people would do time that do this, to interject themselves and make it that much harder for police to solve these crimes. It's evil in its own way. It's
absolutely, it is, and it tortures the families, man, most of all.
100%. So in October of 2013, a 6-person task force was established to reinvestigate Leigh Calico's disappearance. On October 1st, 2019, the FBI announced that they were offering a reward of up to $20,000 for precise details, anything helping them lead to a conclusion in this, and information leading to the arrest and conviction of those responsible. And in September of 2021, just last year, both Valencia County and Sheriff's Office and the New Mexico State Police announced that they have had a new lead on the case and have a sealed warrant for residents in Valencia County. And that's all that they said. And since then, there's been no updates to the case. And to this day, Tara remains missing. But that is promising.
Damn it.
That is promising that they have a warrant for a property. They must have already searched at this point.
Yeah.
And now it's been a year.
What are they going to find, dude? What are they going to find 30 years later? And then these people have had all this time to move the body, and I don't know. It just doesn't seem promising at this point. And I feel like it's been over a year. That was September of 2021 that they got the warrant. Here we are in October of 2022. Still haven't heard anything.
Yeah, if they'd found something, we would have heard by now, right?
Right. A year later.
Yeah.
They just didn't find anything damning, I don't think. Nothing that would hold up in court, unfortunately. But man, what a case.
Yeah, it's
the Polaroid case.
That's right. It's haunting. It's a must cover at some point if you have a true crime show, because it
is. And it's definitely got those Johnny Gosh vibes too, man.
Mm-hmm.
I felt a lot of that studying this. Just hearing the testimony from her sister, from her family, the shit that they went through, and it's awful, man. It really is. And her sister is still fighting to this day to try to figure out what happened to Tara.
Yeah, of course.
I think she's the only one, right, that's still left in her family. Her parents are gone. Her stepfather's passed. So,
it's fucked.
Just her sister.
To think if it was a few teens that were screwing around and hit her with the vehicle, had they just owned up to it at the time, they would have only done probably a few years in prison, and and Tara's family would have gotten closure and been able to move past what had happened, as tragic as it would have been. But the fact that they, if that did happen, they covered it up all these years, and now they have to live with that. I think it would, if they could go back in time, I would think that they would have just faced up to it, did their time, and never have to if they did that, you gotta look yourself in the fucking mirror every day knowing that this family has searched all these years, has no idea what happened to their sister, their daughter, and you did this and you didn't own up to it. So that's, I don't know.
It's tough.
Wouldn't want to be them if that was true.
Absolutely not. But that just makes so much sense, don't it?
Mm-hmm.
The
more you think about it, the bike thing to me, like if you were just abducting her and taking her far away, why would you need the bike? You don't need the bike.
Why take the bike?
Yeah,
you got limited space in your van. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You're going to take a mountain bike with you? It just doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense. But you know what does make sense? Take a natural deodorant with you.
That's right.
It does. You should take it everywhere.
Especially on road trips, you got to have it.
That's right. And if you don't have a natural deodorant yet, may I introduce you to Oh My Gaia. Oh My Gaia is an innovative, all-natural deodorant, fragrance, and beard oil company specializing in paraben and aluminum-free products. Their innovative line of deodorants inhibit the growth of odor-causing bacteria while maintaining effectiveness. And at Oh My Gaia, they use only all-natural, paraben, and aluminum-free organic ingredients. And guys, there's tons of scents to choose from vanilla to cherry almond, sandalwood, lavender, lemongrass, Egyptian musk, coconut, dreamsicle. That's a good one, dreamsicle. Leather, lumberjack, honeysuckle, fireside, a great fall scent. I just got me some leather and some fireside. Great fall scents, man. My son loves leather too. He said, this smells like a good hardware store. I'm like, yeah, I agree. It does. Really does.
Or a Western supply store. I love the smell
there
of them saddles.
A bunch of Justin boots and
yeah.
saddles. That's good stuff. But because you guys are True Crime Guys listeners, you can use the code word CREEPER for 15% off your order. And while you're at it, ordering Oh My Gaia, pick you up a jar of True Crime Pine. That's our very own scent. You can also get it in beard oil or scented oil if you like. It is a unisex scent. It's for everybody. And like I said, you can get these at shop_ohmygaia on Instagram or ohmygaia.com. That's OHMYGAIA.com. And don't forget your code word CREEPER for 15% off.
And you can use that same code word CREEPER with our other weekly sponsor and all natural supplier, Tonic CBD. So it's true. Not all CBD products are created equal, from how it's grown and processed to how it's formulated and delivered into your body. Tonic's farm-to-bottle CBD plus botanical blends are uniquely formulated to supply targeted support where you need it most. Each and every high-quality ingredient is thoughtfully selected for its ability to support and enhance benefits of CBD, resulting in a more effective, well-rounded, and consistent wellness solution for your mind and body. They have a bunch of different blends, much like Oh My Gaia. Chill Tonic is one of my favorites to help me sleep at night. It has ashwagandha, lemon balm, passion flower to deliver a super calming effect. But it's also really cool that they use black seed oil, a powerful antioxidant powerhouse. So CBD has many benefits, as we know, but then Tonic has taken it to the next level, adding in these different, natural botanical blends, these superfoods and herbs, adding those in to make it even more effective. And they have an easy way to verify the quality of their products. They have a microchip in the top of the packaging, which you can tap your phone on it and reveal third-party lab reports, product information, details about their farm, blog posts to help you educate yourself with CBD. So with values rooted in integrity, quality, and sustainability, Tonic is committed to creating plant-based wellness products that are good for the people and good for the planet. Go to tonicvibes.com to learn more and use code word CREEPER for 20% off your order. That's tonicvibes.com, code word CREEPER. They have so many different products that you can enjoy. Michael loves the pre-rolls. I tend to lean towards the droppers,
like the tinctures.
Right? Yes, I love the tinctures. But they also have vape pens as well for instant relief.
Yes, you can get the battery and the carts replacements, and they're both great quality. It's great to supplement your CBD use. Say you take your tinctures in the morning and the night. Well, maybe you're out, you're in a social setting, things, you get a little anxiety or whatever. Take a couple hits on your vape pen. It's perfectly legal no matter where you are.
Yep.
And you're ready to roll.
It doesn't get you high.
Also,
it's not going to make you fail a drug test. There's
nope. Yeah. No, it is not. But it has a way of calming you down. CBD, especially the vape in particular, it has a way, like, say maybe you are a regular partaker in THC weed and you get a little too high. A little bump on your vape pen can really help put things into perspective. Same way with an alcoholic or not an alcoholic. I'm sorry. Well, if you're an alcoholic, it could help you. Yeah. But if you're a regular drinker, you go out and you're like, oh man, maybe I've had a little too many. Like maybe take a few hits off the vape pen, and it kind of helps ground you a little bit. Helps you kind of gather yourself. It's pretty cool.
Yeah. Yeah. We both are
all right.
frequent users and enjoy Tonic's products, as should you. And you should also enjoy our Patreon page, patreon.com/truecrimeguys. $2 a month gets you access to our premium once a month Patreon only episode. So if you listen to our show consistently on the free feed, you'll notice that once a month we're not on. There's no episode. That's because it's over on Patreon on the $2 tier. $21 can get you 12 months. You'll save 10% doing that, or you can just spend $2 a month and get access to that. And on the $5 tier, you get everything that we create, because we have a whole umbrella of shows. We have the whole True Crime Guys network. We have Sandu, Strange and Unexplained. We have Sandu Stories. We have what's some of the other shows?
Strange Shorts, 5 Minute Murder. Higher Thoughts. All of that is on patreon.com/truecrimeguys. Also, of course, just the banter every Friday. But we forgot to mention on the $2 tier, if you're listening on the free platform, you've never been on Patreon, then you may realize that the first 50 episodes in our catalog are missing because those are in the vault on Patreon, and they are also on just the $2 tier. So for just $2 a month, you can hear our first 50 episodes, plus get access to our 60-something Patreon exclusives to complete the, TCG proper catalog.
Yeah.
And that's not even getting into all of our other shows that we just mentioned.
Yeah, there's hundreds of episodes of content from between the different shows available on the $5 tier. That is also available to be paid up front. $54 will save you 10%, and you'll be done for the year. And that's just that you have access to all the content. You don't have to worry about, your card getting hit every month. Or if you don't mind, $5 a month coming off your card. It's like the price of a coffee at this point. You get all access to all that content as well as a shout out. You also, when you join Patreon, you get a shout out on our, whenever you sign up, the next Patreon episode that we do, you get a shout out, which I believe is next week, isn't it?
I think it's coming up. It's got to be like next week.
Yeah, I think next week is our Patreon exclusive. So you won't hear us unless you're on Patreon.
Right on.
All right, everybody.
All right.
Have a great week. Thanks for checking us out. And if you haven't yet and you're watching on YouTube, please go ahead and hit a like and subscribe. Shamelessly, we had to do that because we never do.
I know, right?
Yeah, we're trying to
smash that subscribe button.
I think we're approaching 800 subscribers on YouTube. So even if you don't, if you tend to only listen to podcasts on your podcast app, that's fine. But if you like supporting the show, that's another way. Aside from going in, if you've already left a review and you want to support us even more, if you could go over and hit subscribe and like on our YouTube videos real quick, that would be appreciated as well. Help grow that channel.
Absolutely, we appreciate it, guys.
All right, everybody. Keep creeping. Have a great week.
Keep creeping, guys. From the minds of true crime guys, come
TCG Weekly. If you've enjoyed this episode, please feel free to check out all the other programs on the TCG network. Every Wednesday, a new episode of True Crime Guys proper, Strange and Unexplained on Mondays, and Full House Fantasy Football on Fridays to start your weekend. And if those aren't enough, head on over to our Patreon account, where you can have access to hundreds of hours of content, including older episodes and other Patreon exclusives like Strange Shorts, Sandu Stories, Higher Thoughts, and the 5-Minute Murder Show. But until next time, guys, keep creeping. Hey, how do you shut this thing off? Over?
You hush your mouth, boy.